Forbes India Leadership Awards 2023.
I'm pleased to welcome Neera, Nundy, co-founder and partner Dasra, to moderate the panel on unlocking India's philanthropic potential, where you'll find out more about the emerging trends in Indian philanthropy, insights and anecdotes from the speakers, personal experiences, and more. And now for the panelists, please welcome on stage Amit Chandra, co-founder ATE Chandra Foundation, Miranda, chairman and co-founder of the Indian School of Public Policy, Zarina Screwvala, co-founder Swades Foundation, and Upasana Kamineni Konidela, vice chairperson CSR Apollo Hospitals.
Thank you so much for actually doing this panel. And I'm very excited because, frankly, it feels like friends here, although it's quite awkward to be up here after that whole menu and all the drinks were shared, to then talk about what we really need to do to bring equality and equity in this country. There's a lot to be done. First of all, I want to thank Forbes. For the first time, they did a family philanthropy edition and highlighted some really and celebrated some amazing philanthropists that are part of Giving Pie, India's first family philanthropy network that all of you here on stage are also members of, and really to build on Raj's opening statements that we need to do a lot more collaborating amongst ourselves to make family philanthropy more powerful and impactful. But with that, I want to really jump in because we don't have much time. I first of all want to thank each and every one of you that have been part of our own journey as Dasra, which means enlightened giving over the last 23 years. Many of you have been part of the early days where philanthropy wasn't discussed much. The ecosystem was very nascent. And when we thought about enlightened giving then and what we see now 23 years later is phenomenal. And I want to thank all of you for just helping to anchor some of that. And I know we announced that 1% is what we give, but I think as a country we give a lot more, and those of you on stage do far more than that. So I'm very grateful for all your contributions, but we want you to share that journey, what's been rewarding, what's been challenging, and then we'll sort of move to what can we do more of. So Amit, why don't we start with you as the pioneer. Get us started.
Not sure. Thanks, Neera, that I'm the pioneer. I think India's actually had an extraordinary history of some incredible pioneers. Even people like Jamshedji Tata, I would say, have even showed the way to the West on what giving should really be. I think for Archana and me, it's truly been not about giving, but about getting. We give away pretty much most of what we earn. But I think what we've really tried to do is do that thoughtfully by integrating not just writing checks, but also giving our time and trying to build both institutions and movements in areas that we are deeply passionate about. For her, that is about intellectual disabilities. For me, it is about working in the areas of rural development, particularly with farmers, capacity building, which is building the philanthropic ecosystem, or institutions like Ashoka, or hospitals that we have started in Mumbai. And I think what we have really learned over the years is that there's really a lot of opportunity for us to make sure that we do this in an aspirational way. Point number one, a lot of our giving tends to be limited by our own imagination. If we actually try to do things in a way that we aspire to solve problems, we can achieve a lot. To do that, you need to be collaborative. Dr. Rajiv Shah spoke about that. That collaboration, a big part of our learning has been to work with others, families, but importantly to also work with governments, both state and the center. And the third is to bring actually things that we learned about be it in the corporate world or be it working in the social sector in particular areas, to make sure that problems are eliminated and not just we are in the business of trying to solve a problem. So we try to do a lot of root cause analysis and try to work on problems. But it's been a very satisfying journey, and I think we've got a lot more than we've given.
And just one more minute, what's been challenging, Amit? And then I'll come to you, Zarina.
I think, look, I'm an investor. I've started a platform which is one of the largest investment platforms in the country. But my experience in investing has been the same as my investing in giving. You cannot be afraid of swinging and missing. You will have failures in the social sector as well. This mortal fear you have of trying to do everything and succeeding will actually prevent you from doing a lot of things. And so we actually do undertake a lot of risky projects, and we are unafraid to, to undertake those and fail, because when you do succeed, you can get multi-baggers. It's exactly the same as investing as well. So it's important, and that failure doesn't mortify us. I think the big challenge, which again doesn't mortify us, is working with the government. Governments tend to be, very volatile. They change their character with change in leadership, with change in movement of bureaucrats. But I think the success you can get by working with a government, by seeing an idea scale up, is incredible. And Zarina can talk a lot more about this. But I think it's important to kind of stick the course if you really want to see a solution scale. And so while there have been challenges, I think perseverance and sticking with an idea is really, really important.
No, thanks, Amit. I see you nodding ferociously, Zarina.
I always nod when
yeah,
Amit speaks.
Good. And I know that when you decided to start your work, it was quite innovative to do it all in one area. Maybe you can share a little bit about your work, but also rewarding and challenging.
Thank you. So I was just, so we have a foundation called the Swades Foundation, which we pretty much started 10 years ago. And I remember, in fact, I was telling Neera that my first talk that I ever gave on Swades, when we had just conceived it, was with Dr. Rajiv Shah. So I was just telling him about that. And now it's been a decade of experience. I think our goal hasn't changed, Neera. And therefore, the reward and the challenges associated with that goal, which is to create a model of development that lifts 1 million people out of poverty every 5 years. Have we achieved that? No. Have we failed many times? Yes. Have we succeeded a lot also? Definitely yes. But the real point that I want to make today, Neera, is when you have your goal clear, and then you say, okay, the key operative word is what? Poverty. So what we need to do is use all our skills, all our mind, all our talent, all our networks, all our wealth to understand, to really go deep into this word. What is poverty? And over the 10 years, I can say our understanding has been enriched deeply. And our greatest challenge, we've realized that there are 2 kinds of poverty. It's the material poverty, which everyone can see, the lack of water. We work in the villages, so lack of water, lack of toilets, livelihoods, health, education. But the real poverty that emerged, and that one that we find the most challenging to remove over time, is mental poverty. Mental poverty is, the way we've defined it at Swades Foundation, is the lack of an ability to dream of a better future for yourself and your children and your community. There are no pathways to succeed. There are no dreams or aspirations. So this is the poverty that I'm the most proud of, we have a team of 300 people who work at the grassroots. Today, we have a community of 10,000, more than 10,000 community volunteers who are totally transforming the villages themselves. And this is our proudest moment. This is the real reward, if you like. I think the rewards only come from the greatest reward comes from your greatest challenge. And I think this process, and frankly, we made so many mistakes in the beginning, right? And we pivoted, we changed, and we started tackling this. I'll end with a small example of a lady called Vidya Kule, who I met 10 years ago, and she's still doing what I'm about to speak of. She's called a Swades Mitra. In her village, she is a widow. She was a widow. We found her. We trained her in primary health care, where she had to go door to door to door to do certain things for the community. She decided to become a TB champion in her village. And then she became the village sarpanch. She was elected as the sarpanch. So a widow that became a sarpanch. And she changed her village. We have a motto called Swa se bane des, which means I make my country. And that is the real joy of this journey.
Super. Thank you. Very inspiring to hear that, Zarina. In fact, we've seen through the years with our latest India Philanthropy report, where family giving's growing at about 12%, we expect it hopefully to grow more, that families typically are interested initially in education, then in health. But actually, slowly we're seeing these silos break and a little more intersectional areas such as leadership, gender, climate, mental health. So it's really great to see that some of that is happening. Louis, I'm going to come to you for you to share. I remember when you helped us with our first giving circle, I must admit it was very much in education, but I know your approach has really diversified since then.
Well, I got to thank you guys for actually helping Fiona and I start our journey through telling us about how to be strategic, how to give larger checks, etc. So thank you for that. But to me, it's just as I wrote in the last issue of Forbes, we give because it makes us feel good. It's just as simple as that. Yeah. It's not about the name or the words. It's just about you feel good doing it. And if people just admit it, I have a lot of flack, by the way. After I wrote that, I had people calling up and said, no, you got to give. I give because it hurts. I said, well, but that hurt makes you feel good. That they don't want to, people don't want to feel good about giving. But the fact is we give because it makes us feel good. And also through this journey, I've got to meet all these fabulous people. Or, I met you, but I met your mom, but, all of you guys, through that, and some amazing stories about people. You talked about, like this lady who was a sarpanch, this woman I met in Bheed, who was married off at the age of 9, was thrown out by the age of 12 by her husband. And when she got to meet the people in Koro, she said, for the first time in my life, I realized I have something called rights. Just imagine the power of that. And it's that sort of, work that sort of, keeps us excited about the amazing people we meet who are transforming lives. And finally, it's a steep learning curve. I don't know what it's like for you, but to me, we're involved in so many different things, and there's always something new and challenging over there. The latest sort of thing we started is the Indian School of Public Policy, which, I got to thank L&T for being one of our supporters, and you, Amit, also. And and you for recruiting people, for our graduates from ISPP. And, people asked, why did you start this? And the traditional thing is you help people by giving them fish. That's charity. Or you teach them how to fish. That's skilling. Or how can you otherwise just create policies that automatically make people want to fish and make a living from fishing? And that's what public policy is all about. So to me, it's just this fascinating journey. And you told us, what's the challenging part? I think it's one, dealing with people. It's all people issues all the time. The biggest, I was just thinking about it the last 1 month. Most of my time is spent dealing with people issues, be it founders or people leaving, etc. And the second is I'm losing friends a lot because I'm always asking for money. So people see me on the road, they cross the street because I know I'm going to ask them. Yeah. So I'm losing a lot of friends this way, but it's been a fascinating journey.
Great. Thanks, Louis. Indeed, it is a steep learning curve, and you sort of fall and then go to the next crevice and then fall. But I think there's a whole ecosystem now that's really pulling all of us together. So welcome to our ecosystem. You're now stuck with us. So why don't you share a little bit, on your own journey, what's been rewarding, what's been challenging for you? Upasana, yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I want to say that, I'm here today representing Apollo Hospitals, which is, one of India's largest healthcare companies. And philanthropy is in our DNA because people trust us with their lives. And we have learned to give back with dignity and empathy. And that forms the core of our beliefs. Because if we don't do that, then people won't have trust in us. And what we've realized over the years is that money is not important. It's people's time and people's skill that's really important. And that is much, 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 much more valuable than money. And we saw it during the pandemic. We saw people coming together. We saw people understanding that they are here. Their actual human nature came out during the pandemic. The challenge here is to get more people to give time. And the challenge is it's actually a great challenge because, you know, when you give time, you feel good about yourself. So I'm requesting you to actually feel good about yourself by giving time. So that is something that we truly believe in. And when you give, you have to give with dignity and empathy and teach, as you said, people need to learn how to survive because what happens if we pull the plug? You know, they may just fall flat. So teaching them, skilling them, I think is one of the core things that we truly believe in.
No, thanks, Upasana. I do think as a sector we need to get better at leveraging skills, but I also think a lot of folks think their skills are relevant. And I think over time, and I know Louis, Amit, you can speak to, sometimes your business skills are useful and sometimes they're not. And that's the challenge a little bit in the sector. So maybe you can...
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to make one more point that, you know, for the younger generation today, if they are not working with a clear conscience, they know that they are irrelevant. So I think that, you know, that change is happening in society and we are seeing it. And I see so many young people, whether it's from universities, colleges, schools, who really want to do so much more. And I think that's a beautiful change that we can see in society today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't think any of us represent actually that generation that's going to be transformational for this country. I just want to build also on Louis's point. You know, you were talking about just getting involved, starting to gain traction. But I remember Kishore Mariwala, when we first started working with him, had said, you know, just write your first check. And you'll see that it's a muscle that actually starts to get stronger the more you actually keep writing. So I don't want to underestimate the value of resources to the sector. So we're tight on time. We're going to do a rapid round. You know, given this is the Ford Leadership Awards and all of you probably are always looking at the financial markets, we're going to use a bearish or a bullish. Are you bearish, if these are words? Are you bearish on the philanthropy in India actually unlocking more? If so, why? Or are you bullish on the philanthropy sector, mainly family giving in the country? Let's just go in this order, but you only have a minute.
Okay. You know, very bullish because I go by data, and I think the percentage that Indian families give is probably a lot less than 1%. You can just look at the Hurun rich list and you can look at the Hurun giving list. And if you just tally the two things up, you realize the number is a lot less than 1%. And I think therefore if you look at potential, this number can increase probably to at least 1 to 2%. And India is the place where wealth is going to get created. So if wealth is going to get created at 10 to 15%, and if this number is going to get to 1 to 2%, I think giving in India is going to grow probably, my guess, is 20 to 30% compounded over the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, super. Bullish. Zarina.
Always great to talk after Amit. Building on his point, totally bullish, meaning I'm happy. I think there are concerns. The inequities are growing. But what we can work on, and I think what we can all work on together, is two things. One is to increase the depth of giving, meaning those who give more, give smarter, give better, collaborate, etc. But also the width, the horizontal work. More people to give. You don't have to be very rich to give. You don't have to wait till you're like 50 to give. You can give in your 20s, when you're 15, when you're 12, when you're 8. And the sooner we build a habit, and as you said, the muscle of giving, the better. And I think that is what I see happening. And to Upasana's point, so the depth and the width of giving is something that we should all work on together because, as Louis said, it's the greatest and most joyous thing you'll ever do.
We have a second bullish. Lovely. Upasana.
I'm obviously bullish because I feel that, you know, the country has so many young people and everyone wants to contribute. And so we are definitely going to see a huge change.
We have 3 bullish. Louis?
I'm not a short seller. I'm also bullish. No, I think what's great is a few data points. One is there's a lot more wealth creation, especially after 91. First generation people who realize now that they've made more money than they need. They've been brainwashed by people like you to give money out. So that's sort of, you know, something which is, we're going to see a lot more first generation people wanting to give. Secondly, Amit and I are part of this Living My Promise pledge. And about 80 to 90% of the promisers are first generation givers. You know, so They're ones that say, listen, I'm going to give up to 50% of what I have, at least 50% of what I have, just because we believe we've been lucky and fortunate and have more than we need.
Great. Well, super. That brings us to a close. It looks like we're all bullish. I hope you're all bullish in the auditorium as well, because it's going to take all of us to really make a difference in this country. Please remember, as you look to your right and your left and you eat today, you come from a tremendous amount of privilege. And we need to use that privilege to lift everybody out of poverty. Thank you. Thank you all.
Forbes India Leadership Awards 2023.